All right, Shalom, all praise to Yahweh Bashem Shah. I'm gonna be showing y'all a few videos that came across my TikTok, and I'll be touching on the mark of the beast because it's evident that the chick is the mark of the beast. You know, even though people saying there's other things like sin, dealing with white women or whatever, it's very evident, it's clear that the mark of the beast is the chick. And people that are saying otherwise, y'all are leading the sheep astray. Y'all are deceiving the flock. Okay, it's very clear. Now this woman right here, we're gonna be going into it. It's also another woman that's gonna be going into it. You know, even these people are paying attention. Even these people is seeing what's going on. You know, and with all these things going on in the background, the wars, the rumors of wars, the what they call it, the alligator Alcatraz or something like that, however you pronounce it. These things are all lining up with the mark of the beast. All right. And the MOTB has been being pushed in the background very fast. You know, they've been working on these things, and if you ain't been paying attention, you're gonna be confused. All right. That's why people are saying there's other things, you know. Also I believe people sold out because it's clear as day, man. It's clear as day. So I'm gonna let this woman talk, and I'm gonna be touching on some points that she said because she gave some very good points. So I'm gonna play this video real quick. I hope it's not too much noise in the background because I'm out in nature right now. But yeah, I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna mute myself. Actually, I'm gonna just play it because I might forget to unmute myself.
Because I'm genuinely freaking out about what I found, and I need someone to tell me that this isn't as bad as it looks. So I'm always keeping an ear to the ground when it comes to biotech, especially wearable biotech, because I hate how these health devices are kind of just major data collection tools. And on June 24th, RFK Jr. was in a congressional hearing, and he had said something that kind of bothered me. He said that my vision is every American is wearing a wearable within 4 years. To me, this didn't sound like him encouraging people to get fitness trackers. It sounded like a federal mandate that he wanted everyone to wear biotech monitoring devices by 2029. I'm like, okay, well, where's this money coming from? I mean, you can't put a bunch of surveillance devices on 330 million people without some sort of massive funding, because I assume that that's kind of what he's talking about. So I go looking for the money. I decide to start digging through Trump's big, beautiful bill, because I figure if there's any biotech surveillance funding, it's got to be buried in there somewhere. As I'm reading through it, I'm seeing all of these cuts that we've been talking about all week, right? Like they're cutting the NIH budget by 40%, the CDC by 50%. Like they're literally dismantling agencies that do actual medical research and disease prevention, and it's absolutely disgusting. But then I see this line item, and it's for $25 billion for something called Rural Health Transformation Program. And I'm thinking to myself, like, wait a second, so you are destroying real medical research, defunding rural hospitals to the point of closure, but spending $25 billion on rural health? Like, what is that? This is the first I'm hearing of this. So I start digging into whatever this rural health transformation system is and what it actually means. And what it is remote monitoring, robotics, artificial intelligence, and other advanced technologies. And that always makes me pause, right? Technologia. Now look, investing in AI and technology for healthcare isn't weird. Like that's exactly what we should be doing to help patients and advance medical care. But here's what doesn't make sense to me. You don't defund the NIH and the CDC while simultaneously spending $25 billion on a rural health program. Like this does not feel like an improvement to rural health, obviously. It feels like a replacement to rural health. Oh, but then I noticed there's a timeline attached to this budget because $20 billion of that $25 billion gets spent in just the years 2028 and 2029 alone. The same years RFK Jr.'s wearables has a deadline for us, right? So that's interesting. This is when I went from confused to actually scared. So Peter Thiel's company, Palantir, the surveillance company that builds spy tools for the government, well, he just got a $443 million contract with the CDC. Yeah, the same CDC that they're defunding by 50%. So they're destroying the public health agency.
So, what I noticed is they're passing these laws, they're passing these bills, and they're cutting off people's benefits, right? So while they cut off people's benefits, they're going to implement things to where you have to depend on them even more. Going back to them causing both small, great, rich, and poor, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their forehead. All right. If you don't receive one, you're not going to be able to buy or sell. It all lines up. They're cutting these people water off. They're cutting, figure of speech. They're cutting these people water off. They're cutting these people power off. So you can run to them for dependence, and that's why it's the hour of temptation. Are you going to depend on them, or are you going to depend on the hour by Shemel Shah? And a lot of people are going to fold very quickly. All right, man, it's clear as day what they're doing. I don't know how people still teaching that the mark of the beast is sin. If that's the case, everybody has the mark of the beast. Because if you're going around lying or saying you don't sin or you never sinned before, you're a damn liar. You know, it's a lot of proud people, liars walking around acting like they never sin or they don't sin. We all fall short. There's things we do unknowingly that we're sinning. We're still sinning. Just because it's unknowingly doesn't mean you're not sinning. You know. So, going back to this, it's very clear as day that MOTB is the chip. That's why they're pushing these bills, they're pushing these laws to make it harder on people and to make people depend on them even more. All right. So I'm gonna keep playing it.
Agency and then paying Peter Thiel's surveillance company to take over its data functions. And look, whenever I think about Peter Thiel, I know that Elon Musk also is probably involved because those two are thick as thieves, quite literally. I mean, Thiel bought JD Vance's seat in the White House and Musk bought Donald Trump's. So I just assume they're running the country.
Another thing too, I talked to a brother about it. If y'all saying the market of beast is sin, tell us how that's gonna play out. All right. So if you have to go operate in society, what you gotta do, you gotta eat pork or something in front of the people so you can get whatever you need to get. You gotta do some type of sin so you can purchase something. How does that work? How does that work? How do they track if you're sinning or not? You gotta sin in front of them. Everybody gotta commit a sin, or you gotta go online and tell them, oh yeah, like the elder said, oh I committed adultery today, or I did this today. It makes no sense at all. But this makes sense how they tracking everybody, and for y'all to say, oh, there's already chips in the phone, you can leave your phone anywhere. You don't have to bring your phone with you. Your phone doesn't have every single thing about you. Your phone, if they were to do something to your phone, it wouldn't destroy you. You can throw your phone out anytime. You can get a new phone. But if this mark is in your body, they can do all types of things to your body. All right. You're branding yourself. You're branding yourself to Esau Edom, saying you belong to him. All right. When you get this chip, you're treating him as he's the most high. Because that's what they're doing. They playing like they're the Lord. That's why they got this chip and they saying, oh, you paralyzed, we can have you walking again or whatever. You can control things with your mind. You can do this and this and that. You, the blind can see, the deaf can hear. You know, so that's what they're doing. All right.
So while Thiel's getting all of these healthcare data contracts, like what's Musk doing? He's been very vocal about hating this bill. It doesn't benefit him, right? So I check on Neuralink, which is Musk's brain chip company, and I find out that they had just selected in January the University of Miami as their second US site for human brain implant trials. Yes, you heard that right. In fact, they literally just completed one of their first ever human brain chip surgeries like 2 days ago. No, I'm not kidding. Wish I was. Sure am not. Now look, I want to be clear that the University of Miami has a very legit reputation when it comes.
There's also other companies that's been doing these experiments and these surgeries on people to get them the chip already. So that company itself is not the only one. They've been pushing it. They've been experimenting on people, and also it's not just in America. It's been other places, been Sweden and other places. And she's gonna go into that. Or the next video I'm gonna play, I believe the next woman goes into it how it's in different countries and things like that. So another thing for I forgot his name. It was Chief something. Like Chief Eagle, if I'm not mistaken, said how or they gonna get the chip, how is it the mark of the beast if these other countries don't agree with each other? Well, other countries are already getting it. It's just like when the C-19 came out, other countries pushed it. Even though some of them said they wasn't gonna push it at first, they ended up doing it anyway. And it's of the Lord, so it's the Lord's chip. This is the Lord's prophecy. He controls everything, so it's pretty carnal to say, well, they don't agree. Well, hey, the heart of the king is in the Lord's hands. All right. He controls everything, even in Job. You know, when you lay upon your bed at night, the Lord seals your instruction, so He can remove pride from men. So even the scripture tell you not to be planning stuff, not to boast on tomorrow. You know, your plans, your heart, it's all of the Lord.
To like brain research and helping paralyzed patients. So on the surface, this kind of partnership makes sense. And if we were talking about a doctor who cares about the well-being of others, that would be one thing. But we're talking about Elon Musk here, the same guy who has reportedly 1,500 animals since 2018 at Neuralink medical facilities for failed medical experiments. And employees have actually come forward and complained about these hack jobs because Elon Musk is always pressuring them to move fast. Like, move fast and break things, except for these things this time are living beings.
So right there, man, show you the Lord really speeding up the times. Like it was just a headline that came out talking about we're gonna experience the fastest day in history. All right, so it'll show you right there. The Lord said He's gonna speed up the time for the elect's sake. All right, because we've been praying that the days are short. And the Lord said He's gonna do that. He's gonna shorten the days for us. You know, Lord willing, I'm part of that number. But Khan, He said He was gonna shorten those days for us. So that's what He's doing, and that's why these prophecies are getting pushed out as fast as they are. You know, the wars and the other prophecies, what Trump got going on, being a cruel Lord, pushing these wicked laws, coming down with that wrath, like it says in Revelation. The devil gonna come down with his wrath because he know his time is short. All right, so that's what's going on right now. They experimenting on animals a lot. Now they finna, they pushing it on humans. They like forget the animals. Let's kick this off right now because the Lord got his prophecy moving. All right.
And he's always stated that his goal is not just about helping patients, but that he wants symbiosis with artificial intelligence. That's actually the mission statement on Neuralink's website. So, because there's always a modus operandi behind everything they do, I'm thinking to myself, well, why Florida specifically? Like, there's a lot of great neuroscience programs across the United States. What's so special about Florida? And this is when it gets dark. I'm just going to warn anyone who's still watching.
I check this out right here. Pay attention to this. Everything lines up.
Digging around in Florida legislation, and I see that on May 30th, DeSantis had vetoed a bill that would have let families sue doctors for medical malpractice if it resulted in death. Like, he vetoed that bill. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, because Florida, while under DeSantis's rule, has become an experimental playground for all kinds of policies that would never fly in any other state. He's consistently using emergency powers to bypass normal oversight, testing controversial programs, and pushing the boundaries of what's legally actually possible in the United States of America. Florida, I'm so sorry for everybody who has to live under Ron DeSantis. So what if Florida wasn't just chosen because of UM's research reputation? Like, what if it was chosen because DeSantis has created the perfect environment for experimental procedures with minimal legal consequences? A place where you could potentially test things on people that you couldn't get away with literally anywhere else. And look, maybe these brain chips are doing some net good and it's all very above the board and everybody is happy, taken care of, and their lives are better. Except there are a handful of people whose lives actively aren't better right now in Florida. And those are the people going to Alligator Alcatraz. So I decided to check the distance, from the detention center where thousands of people are going to be held against their will to the University of Miami where Elon Musk and Neuralink are actively doing brain implant experiments. Perhaps some of you see where I'm going with this. So I Google Maps it and my heart kind of sinks because it's a lot closer than I thought it would be. It's about 45 miles apart. So like I'm sitting here thinking like there's no way he's going to do what I'm thinking he's going to do, right? Like there's no logical reason why these two things should be connected, right? And again, I want to be clear here. I'm not trying to implicate the University of Miami in anything. Like, they have been a legitimate research center for the better half of 40 years, helping patients who are paralyzed. Like, they are legit as fuck. And Elon Musk uses his own surgeons, I'm pretty sure. Anyways, the thing is, like, look at who gets hurt by this, by all of this. When you put it all together, like, when you defund the NIH and the CDC and rural hospitals close, like, it's always poor people who lose access to healthcare. So if you want to control those communities, technologies, or let's say you want to have predictive police surveillance, what do? You destroy the healthcare systems and the infrastructures that serve those low-income populations, and then you say, oh, don't worry, we have a solution for you, and it's surveillance technology disguised as healthcare. They become dependent on the tech because they have no other options.
Thank
You
you.
took those away. You defunded those.
You
And if
too.
you've just cut healthcare for millions of people, then that means the clock's a ticking, because if I also remember correctly, then you need to have this biotech ready to go by no later than 2028. So you either need a lot of human volunteers, or you need a group of detained immigrants who make.
All right, so yeah, that camp, that prison, she's insinuating that they're most likely going to be experimenting on those so-called immigrants, and also they'll probably send some people over there, that's not even immigrants and experiment on them. And then, if they refuse, what happened to them, and if people on the outside refuse, they may send them to that camp too. So everything's lining up, man.
Maybe can't consent, can't sue, can't speak out. What was the name of that other place that performed criminal medical experiments on prisoners? Ugh.
You might be wondering, how close are we to chips in our brain? Well, here's the latest update from Neuralink, who do just that. This is a summary of their hour-long deep technical dive that I watched last night, for fun. So Neuralink have 4 stages that they're working through. Stage 1 is to reduce human suffering. This is where we currently are. This includes healing things like neurodegenerative diseases, paralysis, or even just injuries like you got your arm or leg chopped off. But they're moving really, really fast. Here's how fast they're moving. In 2023, they got the go-ahead IDE approval from the FDA to do human trials. This is for the US. Early 2024, first surgery, first person implanted with the chip. By mid-2024, this is when they actually showcased publicly the person that was implanted with the chip. This is actually where I last left Neuralink. And since then, in the last year, they've implanted another, 6 people, so 7 people in total. Even though the chart says 10, they've only done 7. This is actually the chart of how they implanted. So you can see that after the first person, they took their time, and then it took a little bit less time, You know what? Everyone gets a chip. At this point, they're probably going to have people concurrently in the hospital at the same time. And not just in the same region, because they've been approved for trials outside of the US. So Canada, UK, and the
Like she said, everybody gonna get it. You see how quick they start pushing it. They raise the frequency. You know, and it's in multiple places. It's not just in one place. It's gonna be worldwide, man. It's gonna be in multiple places. It's not just gonna be one.
UAE. That means there will be international participants also in the next quarter and in the next year. Okay, so what are they actually putting in their head? So the first chip that they've put in their head is called telepathy. And this chip has basically been put in their motor cortex, and this chip allows them to do basic things like cursor control and gaming console control. And in the presentation, they actually showcased all the participants playing Mario Kart. And another thing...
And these things she's naming right now and what they're pushing out there, what they're promoting, is just the real people in. It's just bait. It's just convenience. But there's a wicked agenda behind it. And like I said, for those who say it's not the chip, what is the chip then? Are you saying the chip is good, or are you saying, oh, the chip ain't nothing big? What is the chip then? Because usually people that say the chip ain't the mark of the beast, they don't really talk about it. They just say it's not the mark of the beast, but they don't say, oh, stay away from it, or this is bad. They planning on doing this, you know. So what are you saying about the chip? What is the chip? Why are they pushing this chip out? You know, and name me one time where these people actually tried to help their civilians. So anything they push out has always got a wicked agenda behind it.
They highlighted was how often these guys are actually using the chip in their head. This is because, as a measure of success, do they use the chip as much as we use our phones? And the answer is yes. I believe the first set of participants, they have severe quadriplegia, and they said they love using it because there isn't many alternatives. I think the newest thing is something called a quad stick, or also known as a mouth stick, and it's from 2014. And this is how complex the setup has to be in order for them to play complex games or do complex tasks on a machine. I mean, even Stephen Hawking his computer was actually custom built for him by Intel, and they replaced it for him every 2 years, and they did all the tech support. Okay, so what's next? Well, right away, they're going to put the next implant in the speech cortex, and they're going to do something called word decoding. They're going to attempt to decode the actual words that the participant is trying to say, because that person probably won't be able to speak. And then right after that, they're going to put the next chip in the visual cortex. This chip is going to be called blind sight. Oh yeah, don't forget, back to the motor cortex, guys. They want them to be able to control robot hands as well with their thoughts. This is all happening concurrently, by the way. Let's keep going. 2027, multiple chips all over the brain in one person. They want to get better at recognition, object recognition. I forgot to mention, they want to be able to decode vision as well, and kind of give a way for the blind to see. And in 2028, they're going even further. They want to be able to access any part of the brain to fix psychiatric diseases, things like pain and dysregulation. And the CEO casually mentioned, oh, and we want to start AI integration as well. Why is it not on the chart? Once they're done with all the human suffering, they want to enhance human capabilities. Stage 2. Elon said, we're limited by how slow we can consume information. Things like how slow we move our fingers, how slow we talk. Elon calls it input-output bandwidth constraint. And they want to speed this up as fast as possible. Elon mentioned something really interesting here. He mentioned the ability to see in multiple wavelengths, like this Star Trek character. The ability for humans to see in radar, infrared, and ultraviolet. Now, I can't help but think of military purposes for this, because what blind person wants to see in radar? Okay, on to stage 3. Elon said once these 2 stages are done, we'll be able to solve the idea of consciousness. Basically, he believes that during this process, we'll be able to reverse engineer consciousness. And funnily enough, he didn't actually elaborate further, but the phrase expand consciousness just makes me think of immortality. Last but not least, stage 4, mitigate the risk of artificial intelligence. Elon didn't expand much upon this either, but he did say that the will of humans can't beat the will of AI. So from his line of thinking, I'm thinking that he thinks that if we merge with AI, the AI in the chip, then we'll be able to come together instead of fighting and destroying the world, hence mitigating the risk of AI. But there's only one thing that can stop them. They need more smart people. Yes, this entire presentation was just for them to be able to... It's basically a jobs fair to get more people to join the company. Elon said they need more smart humans to be able to solve these problems. So if they struggle to hire the right people, we'll see if they'll be able to achieve. Okay, that's pretty much everything from the presentation, and we'll see where we are next time. I didn't know this before, but now I know, and now you know.
I'm gonna close out with that, giving all praise to Yahweh.
You might be wondering, how close are we to chips in our brain?